It's Frontline Friday, where we explore books that dive into history, politics, and the power struggles that shaped the world we live in today. Hey friends, Marmie here. Have you ever wondered, why is South Korea one of the world's most technologically advanced countries, while its neighbor, North Korea, is stuck in a dystopian time capsule? Why did England ignite the Industrial Revolution while the mighty Ottoman Empire fell behind? And why do foreign aid efforts often do so little to actually lift countries out of poverty? Let's dig into those questions today with the help of a book that rocked my worldview. Why Nations Fail: The Origins of Power, Prosperity, and Poverty by Daron Acemoglu and James A. While we talk, you'll see a mind map on screen to help you visualize how all the puzzle pieces connect. If you're the kind of person who likes to see the whole forest and the trees, that'll help. So, what should you expect in the next little while? We're going to take a story-driven tour through the author's big ideas, debunk some popular myths, zoom in on juicy historical moments, and reframe everything around one core insight. Ready? Here's the short version. Nations succeed when they build inclusive institutions and fail when they don't. Institutions, in this context, are the rules of the game. Who gets to play, who makes the rules, and who reaps the rewards. That simple, that powerful. Kind of like finding the one warm laundry pile in the entire house. It changes everything. Okay, let's roll back and start at the beginning of their argument, because the way the authors unpack this is kind of like a murder mystery. They first eliminate the obvious suspects, those easy explanations we hear all the time, like climate, or culture, or just not knowing better. Take the geography hypothesis. Sounds reasonable, right? Maybe countries in tropical climates are poor because it's too hot to work hard, or because diseases spread more easily. But here's the twist. If that were true, how do you explain Nogales, Arizona and Nogales, Sonora? It's literally the same city, split by the US-Mexico border. Same sunshine, one side thrives, the other struggles. Culture as an explanation crumbles too. Max Weber and the Protestant work ethic gets tossed in here. But again, cultural consistency doesn't explain economic divergence. Take North and South Korea, for example. They share the same culture, language, and history, but one side became a global tech hub. The other? Well, let's just say, not so much. And the last suspect? Ignorance. The idea that poor countries just don't know how to do economics correctly. But we've been sending them experts in aid for decades. If that were the fix, things would look very different. So, if it's not geography, culture, or ignorance, what's the real culprit? Institutions. More specifically, whether those institutions are inclusive or extractive. Let's start with the good stuff. Inclusive institutions are like nutrient-rich soil for society. They create incentives, level the playing field, and empower a broad base of people to participate in economic and political life. Think property rights, fair courts, public education, and a government that actually responds to its people. Countries like South Korea and the US have them. Are they perfect? Nope. But they're structured in a way that gives more people a genuine shot. Contrast that with extractive institutions. These are like vines that strangle everything around them to feed a single tree. They funnel resources to the elite, block opportunity for everyone else, and suppress innovation because the people in power are scared to lose their grip. North Korea, colonial Latin America, much of sub-Saharan Africa under post-colonial regimes. These systems are built not to grow, but to control. Now, here's where the plot thickens. Institutions don't just pop out of nowhere. They evolve, or don't, through big historical moments that shake up the status quo. Take the Black Death in the 1300s. Sounds grim, and it was, but it created a turning point. In Western Europe, the labor shortage meant peasants suddenly had bargaining power that led to reduced taxes and more personal freedoms. But in Eastern Europe, the elites doubled down. They clamped tighter, increasing taxes and control. One plague, two very different paths. And like any good cat observing from a windowsill, it pays to notice not just what happened, but how those societies responded. Let's pause here. Can you feel the weight of that insight? Institutions don't just shift gradually, they pivot at turning points. And whether they move toward inclusion or extraction, that choice has consequences for centuries. All right, now let's zoom in on a real success story. England. People love to talk about the glorious revolution of 1688, and with good reason. It's when Parliament started checking the king's power in earnest. That kicked off a virtuous cycle. Property rights were protected, the Bank of England was founded, taxes got smarter, innovation took off. And crucially, as the economy grew, so did political pressure to expand rights. Suffrage spread, reforms passed. The elites chose compromise over chaos. They saw that by sharing power, they could actually secure their own future. A similar vibe played out in early 20th century America. The rise of monopolies sparked outrage. Enter the trust-busting presidents, Roosevelt, Taft, Wilson, who made the rules a bit fairer. Again, institutions adjusting in real time, maintaining a balance. Okay, let's stretch our legs, or pause, and take a little midpoint check-in. So far, we've seen that inclusive institutions grow out of historical windows of opportunity, often by accident, but they're sustained through intentional choices. And those choices compound over time, creating either a virtuous or vicious cycle. Now, let's look at the dark side of the cycle. Why would a ruler choose stagnation over progress? Because innovation threatens their control. This is the fear of creative destruction, the idea that new ideas replace old power structures. The Ottoman Empire feared the printing press. Why? Not because they hated books, but because printing made it harder to control ideas. Emperor Francis I of Austria opposed railroads and sewing machines. Too much movement, too much empowerment, too risky. Even in the US, the post-Civil War South turned to Jim Crow laws as a way to preserve white landowner power after slavery was abolished. Extractive systems don't go quietly. They adapt, just in the wrong direction. Even when extractive regimes do grow, like the Soviet Union did in the mid-20th century, it's never sustainable. Without innovation, without feedback loops, without incentive, growth hits a wall. You can shuffle resources for a while, but you can't fake creativity. So, can nations actually escape the trap? Yes, but it's hard. The authors argue that history isn't destiny. Transformation happens, but it takes pressure, activism, and a whole lot of grit. Look at Brazil in the 20th century. It was ruled by a military dictatorship, but it was the people, labor unions, civil society groups, regular folks who pushed the country toward democracy and inclusivity. And that brings us full circle. The heart of why nations fail isn't just an economic theory, it's a moral one. If we want shared prosperity, we have to fight for systems that include, not extract. All right, final recap. What did we learn? Nations don't fail because of geography, culture, or ignorance. They fail or thrive based on the quality of their institutions. Inclusive institutions spread power and encourage innovation. Extractive institutions hoard power and fear change. History gives us critical moments to choose, and those choices echo through time. And yes, change is possible, but it's never handed down. It's built from the ground up. So, how do we apply this? Well, even if you're not running a country, unless you are, you do live inside institutions. At work, in your city, your schools, your family systems, start noticing whether those environments encourage participation, feedback, shared power, or whether they squash it. If you're in a position to shape policies or culture, think about how to make them more inclusive, not just efficient. And if you care about the world beyond your zip code, support movements that focus on reforming institutions, not just sending money or advice. Okay, if your brain's a little full right now, don't worry, I've got you. You can download the mind map and a summary of today's episode for free in my Buy Me a Coffee shop. The link's in the description. While you're there, you can also grab me a little coffee if you want to support the channel. And if you're ready to dive deep, there's an affiliate link to the full book on Amazon down there too. It helps the channel when you use it, so thank you. That's it for this episode. And remember, systems matter. Keep noticing them, keep shaping them. Marmie out.